pre-restart era, the restart as it were, and then the recovery. We have to make a distinction between restart and recovery. While the recovery would take a longer period of time, there are certain protocols, infrastructures that must be put in place to enable the aviation activities to commence. Now, of the most important of our concern, sir, has to do with imminent job losses. Imminent job losses occasioned by the shutdown of the industry. Honorable Distinguished Senator, sir, you would recall that even before COVID-19, our industry can best be described as sick, because the industry was not stable. In the last 10, 15 years, we've had high mortality rates in airlines. They come 1, 2, 3 years and they're gone. And the reason is not far-fetched, because of undercapitalization and a myriad of other factors. But most importantly, we fear that our workers would lose their jobs if this situation lingers, and if what is needed to restart the industry does not happen soonest. What am I saying, sir? As I speak to you, since in the last 70 days or so, we have been in series of discussions with employers. Some cannot even pay a dime to workers. They've followed workers, asked them to stay at home, some without salaries, some on half salaries, some on quarter salaries, and this is not healthy for our industry. There's the largest operator in our sector has said that 60% of the workforce in his employment will be downsized. And that portends great danger for our nation. I know one of the key objectives of this government to ensure that adequate jobs are provided for Nigerians. And if the few jobs stand the risks of being lost, it's something that calls for great concern. Distinguished Senator, sir, our concerns have become very, very imminent. In fact, in view of the fact that even the aviation government agencies that we thought would sustain the payment of salaries, some of them are unable to do that. You can imagine an agency like the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria, superintending, managing 22 airports. 2 months into COVID-19, they are unable to pay full salaries to workers. It portends great danger for our industry. Beyond that we are being programmed to restart in this state of affairs. I can say without any doubt in my mind that the two most important elements, safety and security, stands compromised. Now, FAN in the last, since the lockdown, has been running these airports irrespective of whether flights are coming in or not, because we've had international flights coming in on essential services. Cargo flights have been coming in. So all the services that FAN was providing when the industry was running full circle is still being sustained. And the same FAN cannot afford to pay salaries and still sustain these activities. Honorable Distinguished Senator, this is not good news for an industry. And because of this and several others, we had asked for special intervention for the industry. This is not a new thing. Globally, the United States of America has responded. timeously to the requests, the needs of the industry, and intervention has been given to the US carriers. The European Union has done that. A lot of other countries have followed suit. And we thought that if we must restart this industry, the first thing we must do is to ensure that the sector is given some intervention to assist the restart process. Let me re-emphasize that we need to prepare the airports to start to receiving flights as at the scheduled date announced by federal government. Without the adequate funding, this cannot be achieved, sir. And I can tell you that today, FAN cannot do that without intervention from government. The other agencies that are unable to pay salaries through this period have indicated clearly that if it goes beyond this point, they may not be able to pay salaries. And that is why we have come to re-echo the call for a special intervention for not just the aviation agencies to enable them to restart. There are certain protocols that must be adhered to before we can restart the industry. There are certification protocols for aircraft and airmen, even for the regulatory agencies that the Nigeria Civil Aviation that oversees the operation of the industry. There are certain protocols that have to be met. With the lockdown, a lot of airmen have run out of currency, licenses have expired, the certificate of airworthiness for aircraft have expired. How do we go about this? So we are of the position that we must do something to assist the airlines, to assist the government agencies prepare themselves for safe and secure flight operations as we plan to reopen the industries soon. Another issue I want to bring to your attention, distinguished Senator, sir, is that within the second envelope, we need to ensure that those all health and safety protocols that would mitigate and reduce to the barest minimum the spread of the virus, COVID-19 virus, in the event we open up the industry, are put in place. What am I saying? All the necessary PPEs for our members who are on the front line, rendering services, interfacing with passengers and crew at the airports, must be given all the protective equipment so as to guarantee their safety and to stop the spread of the virus in the course of their interaction with passengers. Equally, we are concerned in the same net of safety. I'd like to bring to your attention the fact that even the airports needs to be properly prepared. In terms of fumigation, good sanitary practices that would enable safe flight operations when flight resume. We want a protocol for health and safety that would be harmonized across board for all airlines, airport operators, on a non-discriminatory basis. I say on a non-discriminatory basis because there's a tendency that because probably some perception might lead some employers to discrimination against certain category of workers. So whatever protocols that has to be in place should be on a non-discriminatory basis. Distinguished Senator, sir, Chair and distinguished Senator, former Minister, I like to pause here to allow my comrade President, the President of NAPI, to chip in on the same subject matter.
Chairman of this committee, other distinguished senators here present, former minister, members of the press. Just to add to what my colleague have said, the truth of the matter is that there's no gainsaying the intensive nature of doing business in aviation, the capital intensiveness. Aviation is a capital intensive industry. And like you have said now, for over 75 days now, some of these operators have not made a dime. And the new guidelines coming from World Health Organization and other related agencies, PTF in our case, will require them to spend more money for what they have not earned. So it makes a compelling case for this intervention we are asking for. And that need to be done urgently, just like you cited the case of America. America has come to the aid of their airlines because even before they commence operations. So the threat became necessary because we felt that there was a total silence as regards government intention to salvaging the aviation industry from the ravaging hands of COVID-19. And while it is agreed that aviation is an essential service, we have not been prioritized as frontline workers. The aviation workers have not been prioritized as frontline workers. And therefore, we have this perception. It created the perception that we are playing second fiddle. Like it is always said repeatedly that even the COVID-19 came through the air borders, and if these Nigerian workers are not properly kitted, are not properly trained to handle in an event of passengers coming with this case, it can spell doom for the country. And we believe that's why we wrote that threat to strike, because we believe that while our members have been threatened that they will not get full salaries, and yet government is expecting the airports to reopen, and we wondered where the staff will get money to be going to work, knowing that, as we know, the government has been very forthcoming in providing palliatives. So we feel that should be extended to these frontline workers in the aviation industry. Again, for the airlines, that he has said rightly, most of them are not able to pay, and most of them are treating our workers, particularly professionals, pilots and engineers, as modern day slaves. Just because you have engaged somebody, not giving recourse to labor laws that talked about redundancy, where you have a surplus to requirement of your operation. They are just re-engaging these workers, giving them letters, suspending their employment, or in some ways terminating it outright. And this is happening in some of the airlines that have not allowed union to operate. And we say it is not acceptable. We say it's not fair to the Nigerians that work there. And we believe that this distinguished house will come to our aid when they talk to the operators. And we are not asking for a blanket palliatives or intervention to these operators. We are asking that in the wisdom of the Senate, to consider tying this to ensuring that jobs are saved. To explain that, some of them, even while they are asking for palliatives, they are asking for intervention from government, they have gone ahead to lay this or to follow these workers. And we feel it's not right. We feel that that should be looked into. Any operator that didn't put workers first, we feel that he shouldn't be deserving of any government intervention. But if they are able to covenant to keep Nigerian workers working, then we believe that this should be done and urgently so. Again, the intervention we are asking, we want it to extend to the workers, particularly some of these highly skilled professionals, pilots and engineers. Like my colleague said, as it is now, their currency, they have lost currency. But most of them, or virtually all of them, have not flown for upward of 3 months, and the engineers too. And by the regulation, they will require to recertify, and they will be required to be current, unless we are trying to compromise safety, which I know that as a nation we will not want to do that, and we know that by the collective effort of these professionals, this industry has been without air crash for the past over 5 years now, which is highly commendable. So we want that to be sustained. We want that to be that record to be protected. And the case of helping the airlines becomes very necessary, so that we don't want them to transfer the cost of this retraining to the workers, because it becomes very unbearable. Somebody that have not earned salaries, and you want him to go and retrain himself, which usually comes at a very huge cost, we think that it will be very unfair. Just to cite a simple example, a recurrency for a pilot can cost as much as $30,000. We think that's not small money. SIM and all that. So we believe that there's need and urgent need so to come and do for government to intervene in this regard. And lastly, we know that as it is now, while there are competing demands from other sectors, we believe that if government considers this request, we should be prioritized. The aviation industry should be prioritized for the reasons we have stated, and we believe that the Senate will see it. So, thank you very much.